everybody, welcome back to the Time Pass podcast. This is your host, Ashika. Thank you so much for joining me today, you guys. If you haven't done so already, please like me on Facebook at Time Pass Podcast, follow me on Instagram at Time Pass_podcast, and check out the YouTube channel where you can watch all the episodes of the Time Pass podcast. Like, follow, and subscribe there. If you are an auditory listener, wherever you are tuning in to podcasts, please make sure that you are liked, followed, and subscribed on your listening platform of choice. You can also tune into the Time Pass podcast on RuckusAvenueRadio.com on Sundays. All right, you guys. There is a heat wave happening in Sacramento. And it's kind of came up on us unexpectedly, and so all of us here, I mean, if you're from Sacramento, you are used to the hot weather. You know we're going to hit triple digits over the summer through August, maybe even early September. But this one just kind of came up on us, and what do you not want to do in a heat wave? Go to the rodeo. Ugh. Okay, so the Folsom Pro Rodeo is like a big deal in the city of Folsom here, and months ago a colleague and friend of mine wanted to organize like a professional meetup for our group of professionals at the rodeo, and I was like, cowboys, I could wear my boots, country music, horses, you don't gotta ask me twice, I am all in. And so we've had this meetup planned for months, weeks, and we've been hyping it up and like trying to get everybody involved, and we had a good crew that was gonna go to the rodeo, and it was yesterday. And then earlier this week, the text messages started to roll in, and I think I was at work, I was at like a management meeting, and I was talking about what was going on, and somebody was like, you know, it's gonna be 106 on Saturday. And I was like, what? I had no idea. So that happened on Tuesday, and then the messages started like coming in, and we had this little group chat with me and two of my friends on there, their colleagues and their friends. You know, I really love the relationships I've built. And they're like, so one of our friends from the get-go, when we said we were doing this, she was like, I'm in, but I don't do good in the heat, and I'm not gonna lie, if it's too hot, like, I may ditch. So she's getting really worried in these text messages, and my other friend is really worried also, and they're kind of talking about it, and I'm over here like, I checked the weather app, right, and it said, so the rodeo started doors opened at 6:15, it's supposed to start at 7:30. And if you look by the time, it was supposed to be mid-90s by like between 6:30 and 7:30, somewhere then it was gonna go down to the mid-90s. And I was like, we can do that, like that's not a big deal. That's not a big deal. So I kept telling them this via text message, and I was just like, guys, it's gonna be fine. Like, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be mid-90s, it'll be great, right? And then the days go on, and we get more worried, like a couple more worried messages in there, because they're like, now it's gonna be 108. Have you guys paid attention to this? And again, you know, like they're talking, and here I am coming in, and I'm like, guys, it'll be fine. And I send, if any of you are like Friends fans, there's this episode where in Friends where like Joey and Rachel are thinking about dating, and then Ross finds out, and he's like, I'm fine, but he's clearly not fine. So I start sending that gif, and I'm like, this is me. I'm fine. It's gonna be fine. So we know by the time like Saturday rolls around, it's hot. It is so hot, and I was just like a hot mess on Saturday. I got my workout in, which was great, and my workout starts at 9:30 in the morning in an air-conditioned gym, might I add. And I was in there working out, and it was a great workout. Shout out to Coach Allison, one of my coaches who taught that day. but I was sweaty. And I was sitting there post-workout. We had just done some core work, so everybody else is like getting up, and I'm just like laying on my mat, and they're like, you can just hang out. And I'm like, yeah, thanks. And then, you know, people start talking. It's a really tight-knit community. I love my Kaleo fam. Shout out to Kaleo Fitness. But so we're just talking about what everybody's doing, you know, that day. And I'm like, I'm going to the rodeo. And my coach, you know, she's like, no, you're not. And I'm like, I am. And she's like, what about the poor animals? Can you think about that? She's like, I used to ride horses. Can you imagine the animals? And I was like, listen, Allison, I can't think about that right now. So, but I was already like sweating more than I normally would. I couldn't attribute whether or not that was because it was a really good workout or because of the temperature as well, or a combination of the two. And then I go home, and my dad was in town. My dad was visiting, and he was staying with me. And he was like, let's go to Costco. And I'm like, Dad wants to take me to Costco. Done. So we go to Costco, and it's hot in Costco. And I'm just like running through. I'm like, what do you need? What do we want? Like, what do I need? Like, let's put the show on the road. I can't be out here like this. So we leave Costco, and it's hot. I get home, and I'm like putting things away, and I break a nail, and then I'm like, I gotta go to the nail shop. Like, I was cutting it to the wire to get to the rodeo on time. I was supposed to meet my friends at that dam bar, the Folsom Dam Bar. I'll link all these places in the show notes as per usual, timepasspodcast.com, at 5:30. And so I texted because we were all chatting, and I was like, I'm not going to be there at it's 5:15. And I was like, I'm not going to be there at 5:15. I'll be there closer to 5:30. And seriously, I was like, oh, I'm going to wear my boots and my jeans and my hat. And I have the cutest shirt that I haven't worn yet. And I wanted to wear it to the rodeo, but it was like collared, but it's long sleeve, but it's white. But then it has like the fringe in like sequins. Like it's like almost like a rhinestone fringe a little bit. And I really wanted to wear it, but it was too hot. So I decided on a cute little summer dress instead with my boots and my hat. And that was, you know, it was cute. You know, when it's hot like that, the airflow is the way to go. Ladies, you know, when you wear a dress, and that's such a flowy dress, and the fabric is so thin that it was perfect for wearing out and about on a hot day like that. So I get to the Folsom Dam Bar, and two of my friends are already there. And they're sitting outside, and I don't think much of it, you know. I'm like, what? Okay. And I put my stuff down, and then my friend's like, you gonna get a drink? And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get a drink. And she's like, all right, well, you gotta go inside. And I was like, oh, they won't come out here? She's like, no. And I was like, all right, I'll be back. So I go inside. I walk in. I'm like, this is nice. It's like air conditioned. Mind you, as I was driving to the bar, my car registered 111 degrees. It was not no 108. It was 111 degrees yesterday for my rodeo day. So I get in, I order a margarita, I'm like hanging out, and I'm sitting there waiting for the bartender to make my drink, and I'm like, I wonder why they're sitting outside and not in here. And then I'm like, oh, they just want to get acclimated. It's fine. So I go outside, and we're sitting there, and we know 4 people that are meeting us at the bar, for sure. A lot of people are sane, and they dropped out, and they didn't have me being like Miss Positivity, Miss It's not a problem till it is a problem, telling them that it was going to be fine, and we were all going to be fine. So the 4 of us, we knew for sure were meeting us there, and we were like, other people, maybe they'll just meet us at the rodeo, whoever's still coming, because our group dwindled down fast due to the heat. That's just what people do here in Sacramento. Like, you don't go out when it's that hot. You just stay inside where it's cool because you're normal and you have a brain. So anyway, we go to this bar, I get my drink, I sit outside. We're sitting, we're talking, I'm having a good time, and then I'm like, oh, I'm feeling a little spritzy, and I get like a napkin, and I'm like kind of like blotting my face a little bit, and my friend's like, spritzy, what do you mean? Is that like a new word? Like, what does that mean? You're getting buzzed? And I'm like, Off of one drink? No. I'm saying, like, I'm starting to kind of, like, glisten. Like, I feel like I'm getting a little sweaty. And she's like, oh. She's like, yeah. She's like, I'm already sweaty. And I'm like, okay. And then time goes on. We're waiting for our fourth friend who's running a little late. And all of a sudden, I'm like, why are we not sitting inside? Because the heat is getting to me. Mind you, I've only been there for like 45 minutes. And I'm like, why are we not sitting inside? And I forgot that one of the girls who was with us is not 21 and they weren't letting you inside unless you were over 21. And so I'm like, shit, okay, we're sitting out here. So time goes on and we're waiting for our friend to show up. And I think it was probably like 15 minutes or half an hour after that, I turned to, I was sitting across from my friend and I looked at her and I was like, I'm about to pass out. And she laughed like nobody's business. And she was telling her other friends, she's like, I will pull up text messages to everybody being worried about the heat and Ashika being like, it'll be fine, you guys. It'll be fine. We'll survive. And she's the first one that's like wanting to tap out. And I'm like, I'm just not meant for this. Anyway, so our other friends showed up and we're getting ready to leave. You know, I decided I'm going to drive us there to park. Everyone else is going to leave their cars in the neighborhoods. And we're getting ready to leave and everybody's like, and our friend who had just showed up was the one from the get-go that was like, I don't do well in heat. Like, it's not the business. But she's like, okay, we're going to go. Let's go. Like, we convinced her. So she's like, let's go. And I literally was like, listen, if it's too hot and we can't stand it, like, we'll just come back and we'll go hang out on, like, Sutter Street, which is a popular little, like, hangout street in Folsom. Go have a nice margarita in an air-conditioned space. Like, we can do that if we decide we just can't hang. And so everybody's like, okay, cool, right? Like, I'm still, like, trying, you know? Like, yes, this is what we're doing. And our other friend was really excited about being there and seeing the rodeo and everything. It was my first time at the rodeo, and hers as well, but not our other friends. The other two, no. And so we get in the car, we're getting ready to go, and they're like, it's so hot. And I'm like, yeah. And so I start telling them the story of, I was like, yeah, I was at the gym this morning, and I was talking to my coach, and I was telling her, like, she was telling me, think about the poor animals. And I was like, I can't think about the animals. And my friend goes, she goes, you know, I wanted to say something about the animals, and then I was like, Ashika's not going to care. I felt bad. I felt bad, but not like bad, you know what I mean? Because I was like, it's not that I don't care about the animals. It's like, it's exactly like what I told my coach. I can't think about it because if I think about it, I'll care too much. And I just can't do that with things. Like, my moral compass is super strong. So, like, there's some things that I just don't want to focus on because I know where I'm going to end up going with it. Like, just, so I was just like, I can't think about it. Like, I can't think about it. I just can't. Like, if that, sometimes I need to do that about things. Like, I just can't think about it. I don't have the bandwidth to think about it and be worried about it when I have other things to think about and be worried about. Like, sometimes I have to pull that card. Sorry. Like, that's me. That's the real me. So I thought it was hilarious that, and they were all in agreement that they know me so well. I thought that was really cute. I was like, oh, okay, they know me. So anyway, so we show up. Good parking. I'd have to say parking at the Folsom Pro Rodeo is fairly easy. One of the lots was full, so then we went to the other lot. It was $10. And we ended up parking fairly close to an entrance. It was probably like a 2-minute walk to the entrance. Not bad at all. I was super happy about that. Easy to get in. They're another entertainment venue or space where you got to have a clear purse if you're going to take in a purse or they want to check your purse. They prefer clear bags. I don't know if it was a requirement per se because I know one of our friends did not have a clear purse, but she did have like a clear a bag, but it was small, and so they just checked it. So we get there, we go in, And we did general admission seating, which was only $29, so that's a pretty good deal. I will have to say, if you want better seats or shaded seats, like, you can pay more for that stuff. But because we were doing this as like a meetup, we wanted like affordable seats where we could just do what we wanted and don't have to worry about assigned seats, right? Because if you purchase the nicer seats, they're assigned to you, and then if you're going as a group, you can't really sit next to each other. So we were trying to make it as easy and fun as possible for those of us that were going. So we walk in and we go to the stands, and it's like full sun. There was one set of stands all the way in the corner, and it was already packed. And our friend's like, I'm gonna go get seats, and me and Brother are like, we're gonna go get drinks. So then we stand in line to get drinks, and that's a long line, and it's in the full sun. When I tell you how hot it was within my first 20 minutes of being inside of that rodeo, I would have left. I would have left. Like, it was unbearably hot. Like, ridiculously hot. Like, we were standing in line, and my friend was like, why are we here? Why are we here? I was like, I don't know. Knowing fully well, I pushed it. But I was like, I don't know. Because I was also miserable at that point, right? So I'm just like, I don't know. Do you want to go? Like, so as we're waiting in line to get drinks, we're like, okay, we'll go back. We'll see where they're at. See what the seating situation is. We'll give them their drinks. And we'll talk about it. Like, we'll talk about it. Maybe everybody's ready to go. Like, this is unbearably hot for you and I. They can't be any worse, like, better off. And then we get up to get the drinks, and it's like beer and wine and like seltzers or whatever. And at this point, I'm so hot, a beer sounds really good, and I'm not really a beer drinker. I just don't want the calories. So we end up getting like a round of Coors for everybody. And we go back to the seats, and we're like, hey, how are you guys feeling? And they're sitting kind of high up, and I'm like, I'm not crawling up there with my ankle. I'm like, no, come down here and get your booze. And so they come down, and we're talking, and they're like, what do you think? And they're like, no, it's cool. We're sitting, we're watching. And I'm like, I can't do this. And my other friend's like, yeah, we can't do this. And they're like, why don't you guys just hang out till the sun goes down? And we look over at the sun, and we're like, all right. And they're like, and then it'll be different. It'll be better. And I'm like, I don't know. And then I'm like, well, listen, we're going to go find some shady place to sit while we drink these beers and figure out what to do. And they're like, okay, we're going to stay here in the stands. And then our friend who was staying in the stands is like, what about the saloon? Remember that saloon that guy I told you guys about? So when we were at the Folsom Dam bar, there was this random cowboy that like walked up when we were outside, and he like said hi to me, and I was like, hi. And then he went inside, and he had a body, and he was cute, but he was just like short, and you got to be like so tall to ride this ride. So anyway, and so it was funny because my friend was like, absolutely not. And I was like, I know. And so later when we went inside to get another round of drinks, I ended up walking up right and standing at the bar right next to where he was sitting without knowing it. And so he ended up started to talk to us, and then I noticed he had a wedding ring on, so he was like married, and I was like, okay, great, because I'm not into you like that. So then we just started chatting, and then he's like, we're talking about how hot it's gonna be, and he's like, you know what? He's like, just go hang out at the saloon. And we're like, what? What's the saloon? And he's like, there's seats, and you can just sit there, you can watch the rodeo. He's like, that's what I'm gonna do. And he's like, and you're right at the bar. You can get your drink and just sit and watch. And he's like, it's fun there. And they have a live band after the rodeo's over. And we're like, okay. So then she mentioned, like, why don't you go find the saloon? And I'm like, I don't know where the saloon is, because we didn't see it in any of the things coming up. So me and my friend go, we're sitting there and, you know, cooling off a little bit. And about an hour goes by, and at this point it's almost already like 8 o'clock, and the sun's going down a little bit, but it's still hot. And our other friend comes out and she's like, I'm hungry. We're like, all right, let's go to the food trucks. And I'd have to say, I kind of love this setup. They have a ton of food truck options. They had cold treats, like they had shaved ice. They had ice cream, which was super smart for that heat. They had an awesome cooling station. And then they had this misting station, okay? So as we're walking around, like looking at stuff, I see this kid. She must be like 6 or 7. And I'm like looking at her, I'm like, what the heck is wrong with her? Because she's covered in I thought it was like rhinestones for a second. Then I realized they were droplets of water. Like she had completely misted herself in this water. So I was like staring at her, and then she keeps walking with her family, and I'm walking with my friends. And then I turn and I'm like, hey, where's the misting station? To a 6-year-old. Because I'm so hot. I was miserable. And the 6-year-old, I don't even think she heard me. And I'm like, guys, there's a misting station. So then I look and I find it, and I'm like, hold my hat. Somebody hold my hat. And I give them my hat, and I just go and I stand under the mister. I'm like opening my dress in the front, opening my dress in the back. I'm just letting the water like drench me. I don't care about my makeup. It's water's all over my face. I'm like, I put my hair up because I want water on my neck. My friends are like taking videos of me. And I'm like, you guys, you need to get in on this. And so one of our friends got in on the mister, and I'm like, dude, it feels good. I did not even care afterwards. I was like, I think I have a pretty good setting spray. I think my makeup will be okay. But I did not care. That felt so good. So kudos to the Folsom Pro Rodeo for having the giant, I mean, it was like probably a 10 by 20 of a misting station. And then they had maybe like a 20 by 30 or 20 by 40 tent. Maybe 30 by 30 tent that was like a cooling station. They had like a swamp cooler in there, and they had all the things down. It was like a family cooling station. So I thought that was really smart. They were well prepared for the heat. There was water everywhere for sale, so you could get it. The other thing that I really enjoyed about the Folsom Pro Rodeo was the vendors that they had. They had a couple people who were like custom hat makers. They had miniature horses. They had chickens. They had like, it was very like, you know, country. And I went to the custom hat makers because I wanted more accessories for my hat, because I only have one. I have two. I have like a ribbon that goes around it, and then I have like a leather ribbon that goes over that has like a little silver medallion, then it kind of breaks into 2 pieces. It's really cute. But I wanted like some feathers and some other tchotchkes to make my hat more unique and more me. And so I walked up and I was like, hey, like, so I want accessories for my hat. And they're like, they were really nice about it, but they're like, did you buy it here? And I said, no. And they said, it's a really cute hat. And I said, thanks. And they're like, we won't put accessories on a hat that isn't ours. And I'm like, really? And they wouldn't do it, and it makes sense. So they won't do it because if they ruin your hat, they don't want to be held responsible, right? So they're like, if we mess it up while we're like attaching accessories, or some people like you can get legit with like hat stuff. Like it's crazy. You can burn stuff into your felt hat. And I'm just crazy enough to do all that stuff. Like if I like it and it looks cool and unique, like I'm gonna do it because I want to make my hat more me a little bit. It's very cute, don't get me wrong, but I feel like your hat is another extension of like showing your character a little bit. So I was excited to do that, but they're like, we won't do it. So, But it was neat that you could buy a hat right there. You can buy it and get it completely customized. I believe there was like several hat vendors, but that one in particular had like custom hats, custom accessories, everything could be done there. It's super cute. They're set up in like this little trailer. I loved it. Besides that, there's a lot of vendors selling like lemonade, other items, a lot of, you feel like it's a safe event, you know, it's in the city, it's right behind City Hall. So there's a lot of police presence, there's a lot of fire presence, which makes sense because there was fireworks at the end of the night. So after we're done walking around and our friend gets her food, she's like, man, let's go find the saloon. Did you guys find the saloon? And I'm like, I can't find this damn saloon. I was like, if we could find the saloon, I would be happier. If I could have like a real drink, like a margarita, I would be happier. So we make it our mission to find the saloon. It turns out it's on the lower level. We find it and I was like in heaven. There's actual seating, like bar top seating. There was slushies. There's like 2 different types of slushies. You could get margaritas or other mixed drinks. And they had a giant big screen where you could watch the rodeo, and it was completely shaded. I literally was like, hey guys, this is it. This is where I'm gonna be. And that's where I spent the rest of the day at the rodeo. I was able to still watch all the activities. Now granted, would I have liked to sit in the stands? Absolutely. Absolutely. But it was just too hot to do that. So I feel like I found like a happy medium, and me and one of my friends ended up staying at the saloon the whole time. The other 2 went back to the stands, and then they ended up joining us before the rodeo was over. So that was fun. But I just feel like it wasn't, when we planned it, we didn't know it was going to be 111 degrees, right? So our bad. But then we wanted to still go. We were excited about it. That's why we all went, knowing how hot it was going to be, and we didn't drop off like everybody else did. And then to go, and I feel like we got over like that hard part, which was probably like that first hour when we were there, where it was really unbearably hot. And I think once we got past that hurdle, and of course our bodies got more acclimated to the heat, then it was bearable and we were able to stay. And then we were happier because we had real drinks and shade. Real drinks and shade can make me very happy. And proper seating, like I'm not sitting on something uncomfortable. So I think that really was part of the success of the trip. Would I go to the rodeo again? Abso-fucking-lutely. Would I go in 111 degree heat? Probably not. Like, I know you can't control it, but like the Folsom Rodeo is like a big deal for that whole town. Everybody shows out. You've got like from like the country people to like the red, white, and blue wearers that show up. You have old people, you have young people. Like it's a very community event in Folsom, I would say. And also people travel there for the rodeo. So I thought I think that's like a good feeling. I like that. I also think, here's the thing, like rodeos, both male and female, if you're looking to see some attractive people, go to the rodeo. I cannot tell you how many cute cowboys, I mean, something about a man who's wearing like a well-fitted pair of jeans, like they're not too loose, they're not too tight, they're just well-fitted with a nice belt and some boots and a nice shirt. Like, Lord have mercy. There were some very attractive cowboys at this event. I was so tired from the heat. I was just sitting there and watching. I was like, what is going on right now? And if you're a guy, there are just as many attractive women at the rodeo. Like, these girls go all out, from their Daisy Duke shorts to their boots to their bandana shirts. Like, you name it, you can find it. People show out at the rodeo. So I just think it's a fun social outing. I was talking to my bestie about it, and he's like, you're treacherous. You had fun without me. And I'm like, he had another event, but I did invite him to go. But I was like, I even told him, I was like, we're going again next year because it's fun, and I know he would love it. I just want it to not be in 111 degree heat. But all in all, I mean, I think the rodeo's fun. Watching like the barrel racers and the bull riders. I don't think any of the bull riders qualified. None of them met 8 seconds. It was a hard day. And in that heat, like, I'm not surprised. But then there's like the kids that are like riding the sheep, mutton busting or whatever it's called, which I just learned about yesterday. It's just fun. It's just fun, and it's different. And I just had a great time. I really did. I think It's a good little social event, so I would highly recommend that you check out the Folsom Pro Rodeo if you are in the Northern California or California region. And if you're not and you're visiting in the summer, go to the rodeo. It's fun. It really is a good time. Like, if I can have a good time and recommend it to you when I was miserable for the first hour in 111-degree heat, you know that it's a good time. Because I very rarely go from miserable to, I love this. So I highly recommend the rodeo. I think in the end, me and my friends and colleagues that went, we had a great time. We ended up hanging out after for a little bit. It was just a good time. I had fun going to the rodeo. Check it out. I will link it in the bio. Besides that, today I am just recovering. It's too hot still to do anything. I went to the farmer's market at 8 a.m. and it was already hot. I don't even know. I just don't think I can handle the heat like this, which is funny because I've traveled to different places that are hot. Like in India and Delhi, it gets really hot. But this Sacramento heat's different. It's like a radiant heat, not just like a dry heat. I don't know. Anyway, you guys, that's all I've got for you today. Talking about going to the rodeo and having a boot scooting good time in 111-degree weather. If you haven't done so already, please like me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Subscribe on your listening platform of choice, and make sure that you like, follow, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check me out on RuckusAvenueRadio.com. And I hope you're staying cool out there. Do me a favor, if you're interested in rodeos or wanting to go to the rodeo or just thought this episode was fun, share it with at least one person. I would greatly appreciate that. Stay authentic in whatever you do, even when you are trying to hype up a group of people to go outdoors in killer heat wave temperatures. Stay authentic to you. You never know, you may just have a good time. And I'll see you next time. Bye.